Rob and Slip Show.
Hi.
Hey, Sagan.
Yes.
How you doing?
Pretty good. How are you?
Good, good. You're vocalist of the band Hail Sagan.
That's right.
How long have you
I
guys?
have Nick here too.
Nick Quijano.
Hey. Hi.
How you doing, dude?
Good. How are you?
Good, good. How did you guys meet up?
We actually found each other on Instagram a long time ago, and then we both lived in Hollywood, so it was inevitable that we would meet. I suppose small, it's like a small town in a big city.
Wow. And Nick, you were formerly in Powerman 5000?
That's correct.
Wow. How long were you with them?
I was with them for 5 years.
Nice, nice.
Yeah, he wrote their last album before the new one.
Oh, yeah, wow. The Builders of the Future album.
Okay. What's the craziest thing you've ever seen performing with them?
150,000 people in front of me. In France.
He's played with Nick is so humble, but this guy is like a true rock star. He's played with every band that all of us ever have loved, like Metallica, Soundgarden, Marilyn Manson, 9 Inch Nails, Iron Maiden. Who else have you played with? Ghost.
Wu-Tang?
The Rolling Stones.
Wow.
Our buddy.
He's played with like everybody. It's hard to find a band that they didn't play with at some point, along those 5 years that he was in Powerman. So it's crazy. And then he just did that Comedy Central TV show called The Comedy Jam. He was playing guitar in the band on stage, and he played with Rob Halford, Judas Priest. He was with Chester Bennington before, this tragedy, and just so many people. So Nick's like the true rock star in this band.
Wow.
And Nick, you just have a real it's whatever type of attitude about it.
I'm just going with it.
As Garth would say, I like to play.
Nice.
Fucking love Garth.
Yeah. No, Nick is like a totally normal dude. You would never, if you met him in the mall or a grocery store, you would never know unless you told him all that stuff, because he doesn't act the way that I guess you would expect someone, to act that's done all the stuff he does. And another person I've met who's the same way was John Five from Rob Zombie and Marilyn Manson. We played with him a few months back, and he was one of the most humble human beings I've ever met. And I'm so nice to meet these guys and have them be really cool,
Yeah, Nick, you don't run around the mall going, I play with Metallica, motherfuckers!
Give me free shit. Give me free shit. I do that all the time.
On every third Tuesday of the month, I do. I put a shirt on with my face on it, and I go around.
Do you know who I am? Poster of yourself at FYE.
I have done that on tour a few times. So I went to FYE and bought my album.
Nice. That's awesome. How long have you guys been playing together? Performing together?
We started this band a little over a year ago. We started writing music together April-ish of 2016 while he was still on the road with Powerman. And then we debuted our song Dark Cloud June of last year. So it's been about a little over a year.
And how many songs do you guys have all together?
A lot. But what we have released is a EP. And then we just released a new single called Stealing the Crown on YouTube. So after the EP, we started releasing single by single. So we have another one that we're working on right now. And so we haven't decided if we're going to put out a full length or not yet. We're just kind of working on each song. Cool. But in our arsenal, we do have a lot of music.
Nice, nice. And what would you compare you guys' band to?
Hail Sagan.
You're unique.
Yeah.
Different than anything else.
I mean, it's funny because a lot of, humans are looking for patterns, or what does this remind me of, stuff like that. And female, vocalist. So a lot of people will say, you sound like this band, and it's like, no, I don't. Same thing when someone says, oh, you look like this person, and you're like, what? Are you blind? It's similar.
Yeah.
I would say, because we have it's an electronic rock, metal kind of thing, and so our influences, are there. Nick and I are huge Typo Negative fan, so our new single, Stealing the Crown, you can hear some of those influences in that. And Marilyn Manson, Nine Inch Nails. That's the stuff that we typically listen to, so that's what I feel like, you know, if you wanted to hear, like, well, where would that music be? The only difference is that because I'm a girl, the vocals sound a little different, obviously, but...
So I'm curious, then, do you want to hear people say, oh, you sound like Hail Sagan to, like, other bands?
If they sound like us. If it's actually true, sure, but if it's not true, I don't want people to say it just because there's a girl up front singing. I don't want them to just be like, well, she's got boobs, sounds just like Hail Sagan. You know, I don't want it to be that way.
But that would be better than if it was a guy singing and they said that.
Even better.
How long have you been singing for, Sagan?
Well, I've been singing since I was a little kid. When I was a kid, I was just constantly singing and like playing music and trying to even write music. I remember being like 7 years old and trying to write a song. It was horrible, but I did it. And so, so I was always musical my whole life.
What was the first instrument you learned?
She sings, dummy.
Well, singing, but I actually play guitar as well,
Microphone.
and I can play keyboard. I don't do a whole lot of that these days because I'm real focused on, you know, fronting the band. But I do play a little guitar and keyboard.
Were you in any other
By
bands
a
before
little
this?
guitar, she means a ukulele.
That was funny.
Were you in any other bands before this?
Yeah, I was, for about a few minutes, I was hired to play guitar in a band called Bile. They're from Long Island, New York. They've been around forever, and they've had people kind of coming in and out of the band, so they hired me to do guitar on their next album, but then that never happened. So, and before that, I was in a band called Caveat. I sang and wrote the music, and then previous to that, I was just in a bunch of like punk and hardcore bands over the years, none that anyone's ever heard of.
Slambo has probably heard of all of them.
Yeah. Slambo, you were headlining a band, right?
Yeah, like 2 bands, but it was just too much.
A lot of VFW,
bullshit,
right?
Too much BS. No. My band.
Did they kick you out?
No. The last band I was in, I just kind of me and the drummer just
Broke up.
were just like fucking.
Fucking? You guys
No.
Right.
No. We wanted to kill each other, kind of. So
Hate fucking.
yeah, pretty
Good
much.
fucking will do that.
But like you
drumstick.
are a huge fan of like punk and stuff. That's why I said you probably know some of the bands. 'Cause you know like Generation, was that X or what? Was that X?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Band
that
X.
was Billy Idol's original band.
Yeah.
Was it really?
Billy Idol, yeah.
Nice.
What else was there?
Yeah, I liked punk. Like, I was really into punk when I was a teenager. Like, I was that like quintessential rebellious, like, you know, teen girl who listened to punk, and I got a mohawk, and everyone was like, "What's wrong with her?" I grew out of that. Not the rebellious stuff, just the punk. I got really heavily into like hardcore and metal, and I like so many different kinds of music, but I would say I listen to less of that these days, and I listen to more relaxed music. But I guess I'm not as angry as I used to be.
What do you mean more relaxed music?
Kenny G.
I like a few weeks ago, I was like perpetually listening to Bjork, who I've always loved, but that's a little more relaxed than say, I don't know, The Exploited. But even like the metal I listen to, it's more calm. Like I'd say, I always loved Typo, but I prefer that over, you know, something super heavy. I like Hatebreed a lot, but it makes my heart go crazy, and I get real excited. So if I'm not like in a gym or working out or doing something nuts, I tend to not go towards that stuff.
Okay.
What about you, Nick? What do you listen to?
I don't listen to a lot of stuff these days. I'm so focused on moving the band forward, so I like to listen to a lot of silence when I'm not making music.
Yeah, he gets mad when when we're on the road and we turn this like music on in the touring vehicle. He's like, dude, Is this almost over?
I was gonna say, do you ever turn on like the top 10 station, just top 20 station, just to get angry? Because sometimes, like, we do a segment where one of the guys on here will do a song and they'll just read the lyrics, and sometimes I get so infuriated just listening to the songs.
We haven't done that, but that sounds like a really cool time passer. I'm going to do that on the next tour.
Oh, it's good. It's good material. You guys seem really close with your fan base. Is there any time in particular that stood out as like your favorite moment with one of your fans?
Oh my God, like so many. There's we are blessed to have the best fans on the planet. Everyone's so freaking cool, and I spend a lot of time talking to people, both in public and outside in private. You know, people have like issues. They come to me with issues. I'm not a psychologist or anything, but I'm just a person who's got some wisdom, and I like to help. If I have solved a problem in my life, I like to, you know, share the answers with others. So, I don't know. It's so hard to say. I mean, our fans are so sweet. They show up at our shows with gifts and stuff. Like our last tour, we went out with Mushroom Head, and a bunch of our fans came to all those shows, and I ended up going home with a painting and a real voodoo doll from New Orleans and some jewelry. And
I don't know if I'd take that in my house. I don't know if I'd want that in my house.
Oh, I love it. And like just recently, one of our fans commissioned an artist to create one of those. What was it called? Those pop. They look like bobblehead pop. Those pop figure dolls.
Yeah, the pop.
They made one of me with the box and everything.
Wow, that's
really
fucking
cool.
rad.
So that stuff is really cool, and we get you know, they mail us stuff too. Like, oh my God, so many cool things from the UK, because I like love Cadbury chocolate, and so does Nick. So they mail us like candy and all kinds of stuff. So I think that's really cool that they think of us in that way. Someone just sent us million-year-old fossils. He's like a fossil archaeologist. He wrote a book, and he sent us a copy of his book and all these, like, I got raptor eggshells. I was like, oh my God, who gets raptor eggshells?
That's
amazing.
I'd be like, who
I'm
gets
jealous.
them, and how do I sell them? How much can I get for these?
I don't want to sell them. Yo, check out my raptor eggs, yo.
I got a whole case of raptor eggs.
That's so funny. No, but I mean, that's really cool. But just even them, I really love when the fans just come up to me and give me a hug and tell me that, like, my music saved their lives, which I'm like, it's like, that's a heavy thing to hear. Like, I hear it a lot, and I'm like, I don't know how to take that. Like, I mean, obviously it's awesome that they're still here. I'm totally anti-suicide, so I'm, you know, pro like choose your life over, you know, death, and like, but like they say that, I go, oh my God, like that's a really heavy thing to hear, that someone says your music saved my life. And I'm only just the other day, some girl said to me, the only reason I haven't jumped in front of a train is because of your music, and I'm like, oh my God,
wow,
how do you respond to that? You know, so
do your lyrics kind of deal with that, like kind of like an anti-suicide, like do you sing a lot about like living and I've been touched by suicide in so many ways that it's kind of unbelievable. And so because of that, I felt like that was a calling for me to talk about it and raise awareness about depression, anxiety, and suicide. And like the amount of people I've had in my life who have killed themselves, it's just, and like I said, you can't even make this stuff up. It started when I was a teenager, and then from there on it was just like people real close to me that like were dying because they killed themselves. And also I have had, you know, dealt with anxiety, and I know that people have a hard time with that stuff. So I felt like because it's been so like prevalent in my life, I think that I was being called to talk about it. So our video Dark Cloud was an anti-bullying video. I wrote the song about bullying, and there's a scene of a character in the video attempting suicide, and so that really brought to light I feel that situation.
Yeah.
So.
I'm glad you were able to do that, because I mean, depression has not been taken seriously, even still to this day.
It's not,
and you know, it's a terrible thing, and thankfully you're able to reach some people, because not everybody has that right outlet for that. So it's a great thing.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Well, but yeah, because the problem with that is depression
it's just starting to come to light that it's okay to talk about it, and that it's, like, everybody's had something with depression, whether they've had it or a family member. Like, everybody's been touched by it in some way, and so if we all have something in common, it makes it a little easier to talk about. Whereas before it was like behind closed doors, and it was like, oh, there's a stigma attached to it if, like, you get therapy, or if you have to have medication, or if you have something going on with mental illness, that you're like, you become like a social pariah of sorts. And it's like, I don't like that, because I feel like that's why people kill themselves, or why people end up in bad situations. So if we're open about it and we say, hey, I've been depressed, you've been depressed, we've all been depressed, and if we haven't, our friends have, our mom has, our brother has, you know what I mean? It just becomes like a normal thing that we can work on together instead of being afraid of it.
That's really cool. Yeah, I have a friend who deals with depression. One of her biggest issues with it is that she has trouble explaining it to people, and she's always like, well, it's not like cancer, or like something that, you know, like a sickness. Like, she can't really explain it in like a physical form, and she says it's frustrating because a lot of people like, oh, you're depressed, and people will be like, oh, well, that's just in your head, you got to get over it. And it's like, well, that's not how it is.
Yeah, or someone says, oh, just smile and be happy. Like, obviously, if that was an option, that is what every human being would choose first. And so I feel like depression is one of those things where it's like, you just feel this way and you can't explain it, and you don't even know where to start. And so if you can't find what's causing the problem, you can't solve the problem. And so, like, that's what's so frustrating about it, is not even understanding why it's happening, because it's not like it's not always just like, oh, I'm upset because my boyfriend broke up with me, or, you know, those things can cause a depression as well. But the depression I'm talking about is something that is just that like so profound. And
you live with it. Like, nothing triggered it. It's just what you live with. Like, you're over analyzing things, and you're worried about every little thing. And it's like, you know, but you can't just stop worrying. You can't just wish it away. It's just there. Yeah.
Now, you said you dealt with this before. How did you deal with it before music?
Too, you know.
What's that about anxiety?
Oh, I was just saying, like, the anxiety that comes with that stuff is horrific. Like, I wouldn't wish anxiety on anyone. It's a horrible thing to deal with, and a lot of people deal with it silently because they don't want anyone to know that their mind is, you know, they're racing thoughts. And when anxiety becomes phobic and you start being afraid of things, and, you know, it's just really scary. So,
what were you asking, Dave?
I was saying, you said that you've dealt with it before too. I'm not asking what caused it or anything behind it. Like, how did you deal with it when you were having your depression, like before music?
I mean, I've never been, like, the deeply depressed kind, like, where, like, you know, for me, it's just been, like, bouts of depression throughout time.
Gotcha.
And, you know, moments of sadness that I couldn't explain. But I never had a serious situation with depression. It's more been anxiety for me. Okay. Anxiety has come in so many different forms in my life, and it's been, like, I don't know, it's been crazy. It's, like, like, right now I have a really good handle on my anxiety. Like, I've been able to deal with it pretty healthy ways of dealing with it, not depending on, like, anyone to help me with it, but being able to, like, just, like, go out and, like, you know, live without an issue. But there's been times where I had anxiety that it was, like, crippling. Like, I couldn't even leave my house. Yeah, I was, like, agoraphobic at one point. Like, I couldn't go out. I was afraid to go to, like, the store. I wouldn't even go to the store because I was like, the second I would get outside, my heart would start racing, and I would get, like, tunnel vision, and I would feel so weird. And then I would be worrying, like, oh my God, is something going to happen? Then I would even get to the point where, like, I was like, is there going to be a hospital nearby? Because I might have to go there, because what if I die? It was so weird and so hard to explain, but I had to work on, you know, not being afraid, and I had to work on it's something that you have to actively work on. And I feel like anxiety doesn't ever really go away. You have to constantly be, like, aware of it and working on it. And my life is so different now. Like, I can, you know, go anywhere at this point, you know. And I mean, I tour, so it's like that actually helps a lot.
That's what I was gonna say. You guys are getting ready to go on a tour, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm very excited. I love touring. Nick does too, right?
I sure do.
We love it. Like,
I hate it, but I'll be gone for the next 6 months.
Where's the first stop?
We will be in Salt Lake City on September 26th at Liquid Joe's, and that is one of our favorite places to go. Salt Lake City goes nuts for rock and metal music. So much fun.
How many shows altogether?
How many shows do we have? They're still booking the tour, so we don't have all the numbers yet.
I think we're up to, like, 17.
Yeah, there might be 17 released right now, and they're still working on That booking a tour thing is like a whole nother animal. I don't even know.
We have a spreadsheet, and all the spreadsheet cells are blue, and then when they turn green, we go to that city.
Nice.
Yeah, that's how it works.
Basically how it works.
Yeah, so and I'm
go,
always.
oh, another one turned green. Let's
yeah.
go there.
And it's funny because I'm always the last to know. So when people write to me, they go, "Sagan, are you coming to this?" I have no idea. I don't know
Did
anything.
you check the website?
I get in the vehicle and just go. And when the thing changes color, we just show up.
Yep.
Nice. That's
It's like
awesome.
a giant paint by numbers throughout the country.
But it's a lot of fun though. I enjoy it. I love touring. My favorite part of touring is meeting the fans. That's like, for me, like out of all of it, the best part of it.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Dude, in metal and punk shows, there's some of the coolest people you'll ever meet, though.
And Slambo.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I'm always there.
Yeah. Well, it's cool because the people go because they want to be a part of something, and they feel a connection, and so they talk to you like they've known you forever, like you're their best friend or family, and I feel like that's a pretty cool thing to experience. I don't know anything about pop music, but I can't say that I'm sure that that's not how it happens at those shows. So I think we're kind of lucky in that sense.
Yeah. It's cool too to see somebody doing some original music. Like everything is just seems so cookie cutter nowadays. It's cool. When I was checking you guys out, when I first came across you guys, it's really good stuff. Really good stuff.
Thank you. Yeah, I was like the other day I heard something come on, like it was on my computer. It was like some mainstream. I don't know what it was. I really don't know what it was. I couldn't tell you the genre. And I go, who the hell listens to this shit? And Nick just didn't really say anything. And I was like, people listen to this and don't even realize that they don't even really like it. It's just because that's all that's being played that they have to just accept it. It's like, well, this is all the radio will play.
This is what I like.
It's a form of
yeah,
tyranny.
like they don't even get to really choose the music.
It really is.
It gets forced on them, and I'm like, this is really bad. So I'm glad that we can contribute in a way where we can make good music that people can choose to listen to.
Yeah, yes. Awesome, guys. Thank you so much for calling us. Where can everybody find you?
Well, HailSaganOfficial.com is our main website. You can find all of our social media stuff there. Facebook is Hail Sagan Official, Instagram's Hail Sagan Official, and Twitter is Hail Sagan Band, because they wouldn't let us put the extra characters in the username.
I hate that.
I know.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Well, thanks for
You're
having
welcome.
us.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for coming on. Have a good one.
You too.
You too.
Take care.
Later.